Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm not too bad. So, you want to take over
Awesome.
what we're talking about today, Miss Rose?
Yes, today we are talking about how to unlock steady income, the secret to building successful subscriptions and memberships.
Isn't that exciting?
It is. The nice thing about subscriptions and memberships is unlike high ticket sales or affiliate sales and things like that, it is recurring. So you get somebody into your subscription or membership, then that is recurring income, and your ROI on ad spend or whatever it might be can quadruple or even go higher very quickly.
Yes, and it just makes it's also gives you a nice little steady, once you start building that up, that membership and that subscription, it's like a nice steady secondary kind of thing, or it can be your primary, right? But
Yeah.
it just makes it all a little bit better for you. So
Yes.
I'm
And it gives
just
you an awesome sense of community, or gives you the opportunity to build an awesome community depending on what it's about.
absolutely. So I'm just trying to figure out something here on Insta. So if I don't see any comments on Instagram, please do not be angry with me. It's just trying a new thing today. So I don't know what's happening.
Right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different
Okay.
platforms that do offer subscriptions and memberships, right? YouTube has one, Instagram has one. I don't know off the top of my head of any other exact ones, but it's just a good way to make content that maybe only a particular community will understand so that you don't have to like publicly put something out there if you don't want to put it out there, but people who
Yep.
know and are part of your subscription can see it.
You can
And it's
do it
also a
on
good way to be a
Patron
little
as
bit more
well.
personal. Hmm.
Yeah, Patron is another one that you can have that. If you're into the spicy stuff, you can have an OnlyFans account. So, like, I mean, if you're selling spicy toys and stuff like that, or furniture, why wouldn't you have a place where that can be specifically geared towards you? So, yeah, you don't have to be limited to the ones that we know.
Well, and OnlyFans doesn't have to be spicy content. It can be normal
I want,
content
yeah.
as well.
It doesn't have to be. Actually, there is I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that actually use it for lots of other things. It just, that's the one that is more
Yeah.
personally geared towards the spicy content. So it's not necessarily, it's not like others where you're going to get booted if you
Yeah.
have spicy content, right? So
For sure.
that's
For
basically
sure.
more what I was thinking in terms of.
Fair enough. You see it a lot in dog training as well because there's like if it's a dog sport that you don't necessarily understand, then that's a good way to talk about like actual training shares that maybe a lot of people on your public page wouldn't be interested in, but people who are looking to get dog sports would be interested in. So there's all kinds of ways you can use it.
Yeah, I think there's people that even do like subscription services to groups, right? Or obviously educational stuff. Like if you're teaching, you have a monthly, that happens a lot as well. So, subscriptions are basically just a recurring paying model. So it doesn't matter what it's attached to, that's your recurring. I mean, whether it's sending vitamins or it's sending a membership to a specific thing. And usually they have benefits, right? So if people choose to buy a membership or whatever, they're either getting discounted prices or they're getting access to private information, like, or tools that nobody else has if they just follow your free content,
Yeah.
right?
Or a lot of companies use it as like an auto ship, right? So like Bones has a subscription of like these are the coffees I like. They send you your coffees automatically, so you don't have to worry about running out of coffee or shopping. What's another one? I had another one in my head. I completely lost it.
The
But it's a good
meals
way to
one,
automate things as well.
like Just Fab is one that does a subscription service, and so I don't know if anybody knows what Just Fab is, but basically they are like clothes and shoes and stuff like that. Same as Shein, and they have a subscription service, and you just cancel, like you just say you just skip the month, right? So as long as you're paying attention, you just skip it, and they don't charge your card, and you're like, nope, can't afford it this month, or nope, not interested this month, and it's an option. But it's a way for you to get discounts and to purchase their stuff and whatever. But there's tons. I mean, Netflix,
Yep,
the subscription. Any of your streaming TV is going to be a subscription. So it's not just that kind of stuff.
exactly. But again, they're a great way to have predictable income while you're also growing some other stuffs. And It's scalable
Yes.
fairly easily, which is always nice.
Yeah, it's always nice when you have something that you can actually build out from and add more steps to, and all of those things you can. And it's one of those things where you can also have it go, you can downsell as well as upsell, right? So
Yeah,
you can,
for sure.
it gives you that opportunity to find the people in each area of where their comfort level is for finances and stuff like that. So maybe somebody only buys subscription coffee, but they only need it once every 3 months. You can build
Yeah.
that into your model. So you've got the people who are like, I want all the gourmet coffees. I want to try the new ones every month I want. But and then you've got your other people, I just want this and I only want it every 3 months. I don't need you to send me all this other crap. And you have that option. And then you get to keep both those customers.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yep.
all
And
right.
we're looking at potentially building out a subscription eventually so you can get some dark roast
Swag.
exclusive coffee cups and stuff.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, we've already built out some of the actual artwork for the cups and everything else. It's just that we need people to love us more.
Yes, exactly.
Oh no, they love us already. They just need to actually subscribe and show us that they love us.
Right. Well, we need to set it up so there's links they can subscribe too. So that's on us a little
Yeah. Yeah.
bit.
Well, I can do that. Like I just need to you got to tell me these things ahead of time so I know what I
we're still in the work. So as we're talking about that, how do you build out a subscription, right? So what do you bring to the table is the first thing. What is the thing that you really think that every month you could build upon or offer that people would actually be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't it's okay if it morphs, right? If
Mhm.
you think this is the idea at the beginning, but be open to it morphing, right? That's,
Oh yeah.
so the first thing you want to do is identify what it is that you have to offer. What's is it worth paying for? And then you want to create your tiered options, like we said, so that everybody can join in their own levels to meet their own budgets or their own needs. And then you got to set up a payment system,
Yep.
and you got to make sure that it's easy. Now, some platforms make it really easy to do that, right? So WooCommerce has all the options. You can do Apple Pay, you can do PayPal, you can hook up your Stripe or your Square, your online payment options, and they make it really fairly easy to add those in. Others are more challenging. You just
Yeah.
have to find what works best for you. So that's important.
Yeah, I really like Stripe because it gives you the option to set up a customer portal so the customer can go in at any time and cancel without having to go through you. You of
Hmm.
course get an update if they canceled, but it just makes it more customer centric and like easier for subscribers to use.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know that Square is very similar, and you can set up your shop both, and both of them allow you to set up your shop or put your products in their platform as well. So if you wanted to, you could easily have it in two places. I mean, that's up to you. That's extra work, but it is a way for you to have just a little bit of extra that. And then you got to be consistent, whatever that you're providing. You've got to be consistent in your communication. You've got to be consistent in the product that you're delivering, all of that sort of stuff. Because if you suddenly drop off because you're having a bad week, that's not your customer's fault.
Yeah.
And
Especially if your subscription is like coaching or like insider knowledge share type stuff. Like it's super important that you don't lose that. Or even go live and just tell them like, hey, I don't really have anything this week because a lot's going on, like whatever it might be. Because if you have subscribers, they generally tend to feel a little more connected with you anyway. And so maybe it's okay that you just share some personal stuff with them.
yeah, and you just be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep your honesty forefront. And it happens, life happens sometimes. So you're going to try to make sure that yeah, you're being consistent in what you're doing. And if you really are not able to follow through with something, then you might have to offer discounts or funds, but make sure that your communication is out there, and be aware that if there's a problem and somebody wants to quit, then don't be a jerk about it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's some people get in their feels when people say I'm done with you, and it's like don't let that. Everybody's allowed to have their thing, and you can still have your feelings, but don't post it all over the internet.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Yeah. I always love when follower. It's gonna sound kind of weird. I like it when people tell you that they're unfollowing you though, because it's like, okay, what are you expecting me to beg you to stay? Like it's okay. Like
I'm done with
you're
you.
gonna lose followers. Like
Yeah,
it's not bad. Like when you lose followers, you're losing people who aren't gonna engage anyway. So it's not the end of the world that people like to think it is. And that's one of the reasons that when people announce that they're leaving, I'm just like, okay, bye. Like you're
yeah.
clearly
If
not my
someone's
customer.
leaving,
It's
then
fine.
that gives you opportunity. That provides space for somebody who actually wants to be in your space, right? And
Yeah.
I've followed people for a while because I thought maybe we were in the right space, and then realized that no, it's definitely not, and unfollowed, right? And but
Hmm.
sometimes it takes a little while to realize you see their content enough, you go, you know what, this just isn't for me, and so you unfollow. And I don't take that kind of stuff personally
Yeah.
because I am who I am. Either you like it or you don't like it, and if you don't like it, that's okay because whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Be safe. Have fun.
And you can always add, if it's a program or something, you can always add a form when they unsubscribe or when they cancel, just asking them their honest opinion why and be open to feedback because that is
Yes.
what's going to tell you more than any of the people who are in it giving you the good stuff. Like the bad
Mhm.
stuff is going to be where you can improve. But it's not necessarily going to be bad. It's just maybe there was a part you overlooked.
Yeah, and I think that it's like an exit interview, right? Because it's and I think that anytime you're going to leave something, it's really important to have that because you want to know. Because
Yeah,
how are you supposed to grow if you don't know, right? And
exactly.
not everybody's going to want to do one, and that's fine too. But I think it's a really good thing to have, especially with a subscription, because yeah, why are you canceling? And I noticed that when I've left other things, is there anything that we can do to bring you back? Is it cost? And lots of times if it's cost, then they'll offer a discount or something like that. Cause like, well, I get it. Hey, maybe this lower version is better for you. Or if it's just, nah, this stuff isn't for, no, that's too bad. Well, we'll keep you and maybe at some point you want to come back. Because I saw somebody I think it was on Instagram, a creator who was like, people don't worry about if people unsubscribe. Well, if they're going to move themselves from your email list, it's not good enough. And she's like, I don't worry a whole lot because I just had somebody who bought in. They subscribed and unsubscribed from my email list 5 times. She's like, because they were interested, but maybe it just wasn't, they didn't want, it wasn't the right time or whatever. So somebody might leave you now and come back later. As long as you are cordial and you continue to provide value, timing might just be the wrong thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, don't make your unsubscribe message a tantrum, which I've seen as well. And like that just solidifies to me, especially, I'm like, that's why I'm leaving because you're a child. I don't have time for adults that can't act like adults in the real life. I really don't have time for it in the digital
I don't
space.
yeah, I don't need to be subjected to it here. It's a lot easier for me to just walk away here. Yeah, I when you're doing subscriptions and memberships, it is vital that your customer service and your what you're putting out there is positive and has purpose and does not make the people that you're trying to have in your subscription base like crap, right? And
Yeah.
that's you want to make them feel loved and cared for and important and part of your family because that basically is what a subscription or a membership is. And it doesn't matter if it's for a physical product or a digital product or a course or coaching or whatever. They're part of your family now, right? So you got to treat them like you want to be treated. And that
Yeah.
is, you want to make sure that you're caring for them and for their journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you do that is don't continually sell them and on something else in every video or every post that you do, but also don't overpromise and then underdeliver. Like really be critical about what you're offering. So maybe doing a live every week is just too much for you. So maybe you're promising every other week you'll do a live knowledge share or maybe it's even monthly. Maybe monthly you do a video and a newsletter going over what you did or something like that. There's a lot of different ways you can structure subscriptions and memberships, but it's got to be what's going to be easy for you to remain consistent with.
Yeah. And you can't make it complicated. If you want people to join, you can't make it a complicated process for them, because seriously, after like the fourth window, they're like, nah. I appreciate the concept of a value ladder, but I think a value ladder that has more than probably 3 steps can get really frustrating. I know it does for me. Like after the third page that I've got to go no to, I get pissed off.
Same.
And so,
Especially if there's no progress bar. At least let people know, like, hey, that you're on step 3 of 5, right? Like,
yeah,
put something in there so it just doesn't feel like a continuous upsell.
yeah, like how many times am I going to have to, are you going to try and sell me something before I get where I want to go? So yeah, progress bar, there's that way you can still have your upsells, but again, don't make it just a constant, or make it so that they can't find the actual subscribe link, or there's no information. So there's nothing but the subscribe link, where there's no details or information about what's part of their package, that kind of thing, because people will leave on those kinds of things because it's just too complicated.
Yeah.
We don't
And
like
make sure it's
complicated.
coming from a good email, right? Don't be sending it from a Gmail account. Send it from a branded email account, but make sure you've gone through and done all the authentication steps necessary so it doesn't just look like you're trying to get their information.
Yeah, yeah, and test it. Always test it. Test.
Mm-hmm.
Test your landing pages, test your sites, all those kinds of things. I don't know how many times we can say it, but yeah, it's important to do that kind of stuff. Not enough engagement. Okay, so you're not interacting with your members. These people are paying for whatever it is you're offering. So make sure that you are touching base with them on a semi-regular basis. Maybe have a group where they can talk to each other as well as talk to you. And again, whether that's a physical product, a digital product, coaching, whatever, having a group area or a form board or something where they can all sort of connect with each other is a great way to help keep that engagement up and help them engage with each other during that time when you're not there to engage with them. So it still has that community feel.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if it's on YouTube or Instagram, make sure you're making those member only videos. That's a trap that a lot of people fall into. Is they get the subscription, they get a few subscribers, they get really excited, and then they forget to make subscriber only videos. So then after a couple of months, your subscribers are going, "Well, why am I subscribed to you? You never make content for us."
Yeah.
So pay attention.
Yeah. It's easy to get sidetracked. So it's maybe it might behoove you to have at least a couple or 3 videos or whatever, 3 pieces of things that are very specific member content only. And then you can start polling and finding out what else they want. But at least you've got something in the interim is like, and don't post it every day if that's not what your schedule is going to be. Right.
Yeah.
They'll love it at the beginning and they'll be like, why isn't it like it used to be? It'll be a sad relationship. He just doesn't love us
Yeah.
anymore.
Scarcity in the beginning is probably better, because then if you up your frequency because you can sustain that, no one's gonna even think anything of it. They're just gonna be like, oh, cool. But if you decrease your consistency, then yeah, it's gonna be is this person not telling the truth? Are they not doing as good as they said? Is that why they don't have time? So make sure again you're really thinking it through.
Yep. So, like we had talked about earlier, there's some like different subscription things like big ones that everybody's going to know. So, Netflix is a big one. And I mean, not everybody subscribes to it, but they have enough people. They managed to kill Blockbuster. So,
Yeah. And sometimes subscriptions are yearly as well. So like Amazon Prime or repurpose.io, there can be a yearly subscription. So it doesn't have to be monthly.
yep, absolutely. And a lot of them offer both. So, like, I just did my subscription to Medium. I've sort of dragged my heels on that one, and I finally did it. And now you had your option of monthly or yearly, and that's a blog format. And then there's also the Patron, like we discussed. I think Rose is frozen for the second. And then there's the monthly box service, right?
Yes.
Where you get like Birchbox or Dollar Shave. where you just have your little box and they have them for everything. Like there's really, you can, if you're like weddings are a big one. And I didn't know that that even existed until I was getting married and decided to go the whole actual wedding kind of route. And yeah, there's subscription boxes for brides. They like send you little samples of this and samples of that and all these different little things so that when you're building it up. So there's a million different ways to do it.
Just real quick, because this might be a regional theme, but Patreon is,
Yep.
I believe, what you're talking about as well.
Well, yeah, Patreon. Yep, Patreon is one, and that is I've seen that when I lived in Canada, and I've seen that down. So it might be just a North American thing, or it might be just certain countries, but I don't believe so. I think that it's a pretty wide net because I'm pretty sure there are people across the pond that also do it. So I just don't know how
Yeah.
far into the different countries out in that area,
I
like
just don't
past
know if it's
Europe.
pronounced differently because you kept saying Patron.
Patreon. Oh yeah, I always say Patreon. Patreon.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
That's what I say. Like, I think it might just be a regional thing as far as like pronunciation, but you say Patron to me, and I think tequila. So,
Could be a shot here, shot there.
which I think there are like vodka, tequila type subscription boxes as well. So,
Absolutely, there is actually. Yep, there's something for
I know there's
everyone.
the wine boxes. I know is a big one. There's a lot of wine subscription boxes.
True. Actually, when I went to a vineyard when I was down in the San Francisco area, we did a tour of a winery, and yeah, they offer it. They wouldn't ship to Canada, which was sad because I really liked their Cabernet. It was very nice. But so that's, and then now, so different tools. Okay, so we just talked about that one. Medium is another one for creators. There's education ones like Kajibi. Go High Level is another one that's a subscription service. Basically, you can set up your own subscription service on Go High Level. You've got Substack, which is good for newsletters and those kinds of subscriptions. So
Yeah, a
really,
lot
there's
of
lots
like
of different,
softwares.
lots and lots of softwares that allow you to set up either educational stuff or digital stuff like digital downloads or that kinds of things. And again, with the products, you can set it up with WooCommerce. WordPress has got plugins for practically every kind of sales option that you have out there. So if you want to build that out, and that's where you've built your website out on. So
Yeah. So when you're looking at pricing, there is some psychology that can go into it. So like the number 7, a lot more people subscribe if the number 7 is in there somewhere. So 1997 instead of 1999 is one of the weird tips that we've been given. That's why for a long time everyone was offering a $7 course because 7's like a number that spurs people. And when you're doing your price stack, and this is gonna sound kind of mean. I don't mean it that way. There have been many times when I'm looking at something that I look at their price stack and I'm like, that seems like a lot of money for what that is. But with the price stack, really all you're doing is trying to make the value bigger. So
yeah.
if you're going to do any kind of price stacking, like try to be within the realms of reason, in my opinion. But there are many people who do it not in the realms of reason are still successful. So just be critical of the price stacking when you're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that you can sort of figure that out is again market research. Another thing that I'm super big on is look around, see what other people are doing, right? What are other people charging for this? What are the value ladders that they're putting in there? What are they offering for those value ladders? To really help you, you don't have to price it exactly the same, but maybe you offer something that's a little bit more personal, or maybe you offer something that's a little less personal, so that might change what your pricing is, but that at least gives you a starting point to look at and to sort of try and build from. And like you were saying with the numbers, odd numbers for whatever reason, it really is, odd numbers are the thing. I mean, back in like 80s, 90s, well, mostly 90s, 2000s, it was 5. You did
Mhm.
1995 for a reason, or 1999 for a reason, because it was less than 20. And so
Yep.
people saw, I'm not spending 20, I'm spending less than 20. And at first it was 99, and then it went down to 95 because that gap mattered. right? But again, it was odd numbers. And now we've gotten to where 7 is the number. It'll change again, but it'll still be whatever's less than your whole number.
Yeah. And that's even used in real estate, right? Like when we price a house, like instead of pricing it at 400,000, we'll price it at 399,999.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 9, right? So it's like,
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's, you're
um,
saving yourself what, $20, but it's just that trigger because it starts with the number that they want to see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one other common pitfall that I think happens with subscriptions that I think it'd be smart to avoid, and this is mostly just opinion, so take it or leave it. If you're getting a lot of members and you want to up your price, add a new tier with the higher price with something added. Don't just up the price on your members because that will turn off a lot of people. And then you go from having a lot of members at that one price to maybe having less than half.
Yeah.
And if the price raise that the other half, less than half, are okay with, doesn't match what you've just lost, then you've really done a disservice not only to your subscribers, but to yourself.
And if your membership at X price is not, maybe it's not like a ton of people, but you're finding that you're getting consistent, you're starting to get really consistent, maybe you keep them where they are. And that's called, those are your
Grandfather.
Yeah, they're grandfathered in at that price, and everybody else is going to have to pay the new price. Because there is a point where if you're going to be raising prices for everyone, notice. Everybody needs notice, and they need more than a month's notice.
Yep.
Right? Because I mean, nothing is more irritating like watching. I mean, how many people left Netflix after a while because their prices just kept going up and up and up and up and up, and at a point you're like, well, what the hell? And getting less for it. Their prices were going up, but they were getting less. And that was super frustrating for a lot of people. And so they quit.
Yeah. And then retention is going to be one of your top analytics to look at. Sorry. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm getting all these new signups. This is great. But it really takes about a year to see where you can improve based off of retention. Because maybe you're getting 100 new subscribers every month, which is fantastic. But maybe 50 of them are dropping off by the third or fourth month. So look at the retention factors and then reach out to the people that have stayed. And if you're not already, and just ask them, hey, I've noticed that I have a lot of drop offs, but you're still here. Can you give me some feedback? Or again, that's where when people drop off and unsubscribe, ask them why. And sometimes it's stuff that you can't control. Sometimes it's personal stuff, but sometimes it is stuff you can control. And then maybe look at factoring that feedback into your plan as you're moving forward.
Absolutely. And I mean, you can also within your program, especially if it's something where you're having a lot more interaction, or you're supposed to be providing some sort of really tight membership stuff, do check-ins. Maybe once every 2 months, just do a check-in and say, hey, how are you enjoying it? What are you thinking about it? Is there anything that you would like to see added or changed? And that will help you also get some direction on where to build out more. And also where maybe you're putting a lot of effort, that effort is wasted because they just don't care about that. Right. And that's a huge one, because you could put in all the effort into something that you think is the most critical piece, and your membership is like, I don't really care about that. It's nice to have, but it's not a big deal. So maybe you shouldn't be putting all that effort into it and putting it somewhere else. It's more value for your customers and your clients.
Yeah.
So let's see, what are some tips and takeaways? So I'll always focus on providing value. Whatever you're going to do, if you're going to be doing a membership or subscription, value, because why are they with you, right?
Keep it simple, clear, and concise.
Not like us. Well, not like me anyways.
I don't know. We're both very to the point people. So
yeah, don't overcomplicate your membership. Make it easy to get in, make it easy to understand. Once they're in, make it easy for them to get to what they want to get to. Always think about how streamlined you can make it. You can have clutter in your home and hide that from everybody else, but your membership, you don't want it to be cluttered or messy. And then this is one that I struggle with. Consistent.
It's not always easy. That's where one of our previous episodes about how to batch create and create those content buckets can come in handy.
Yeah. Yep. I'm working on it actually right now. So whatever.
Hey, we're all learning. We're all work in progress.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
ever profess to be perfect because that would be a waste of my time and you would see through that in a heartbeat. So
exactly. But if you're thinking about building out a membership or subscription, just remember that a lot of it is you're building a community. So while yes, you need to have value, you need to have a good product or good course or whatever it may be, focus really on the community that you're building and make sure that you're targeting the right people, because having, again, getting 100 new subscribers because you're offering a free whatever and then losing them after a month because you're not talking to the right people, it's not going to assist you in the long run. It's not going to be sustainable, it's not going to be scalable. So make sure that you're really focusing on who am I building this community for.
yeah. And that's one of your first steps. Yes, you're going to figure, okay, I want to build this membership. Well, what is it that you have to offer? It makes it unique, and who is it for? Because if you think everybody, just like, even if you're selling one-offs, it's the same deal. If you think it's everybody, it's not. Never going to be. It's going to be people like you who think that this is a great idea. So
Yeah.
you have to really figure that out. Thank you, Saki, for the love.
I love Saki. She's the best. That girl.
Well, there you go. Feels like more people I should know. And yeah, and then once you do have the people, listen to them, right? It's
Yeah.
your community. So if you want to build it and grow it, listen to the people that you're trying to build and grow it for. Because if you're not listening to them, then they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they are there, it's probably because of the story you tell. And so make sure you're telling the right story. Make sure you're telling your story. That's something that I struggled with IS Wellness is like, I know why it's great. I know why I started it, but I was not communicating it properly. And I'm still really not communicating properly. I'm working on it. But you don't be afraid to share those story posts and videos 3 times a week or at least once a week, because it's going to get put in front of a new audience.
Right. Yeah. I'm not good with that. I'm very sort of, and it's funny because I am open and friendly and all those things, but as soon as it comes to me telling my story, I'm like, no.
Yeah. Or not even your story, maybe just your pain points, right? Like
Hmm.
sharing your pain points and how you got through them can be so powerful, because there's so many people who are struggling in the online space that don't need to be struggling, but they're struggling because they're getting the wrong information or they're not getting the assistance they need. And so just
Yeah.
sharing how you did it can help people immensely.
And I think that people are there's a big difference between it's easy and it's simple, right?
Yes.
The truth is that online marketing is 100% simple. Really, to get started is simple. And if you've got a good roadmap, it gets even more simple, but it's not easy because you're going to bring your own baggage and your own interests and your own ways of thinking and your own needs. And all of those things are all going to play a part in your journey, and where you are now versus where you want to be. That's also going to play a part in your journey and how you handle that. So, yeah, yes, it's simple. No, it's not easy.
No. And it's not immediate for most people.
Yep. And I'm a strong proponent of education. I believe that if you are serious about wanting to be in the online marketing business and you want to build out your business, whether it's through memberships and subscriptions, or you want to just sell like one off items, or you want to be a coach or a mentor yourself, you need to be educated, because you wouldn't go for a marketing job at a company if you had zero marketing experience. You wouldn't even think to apply. If you've always been a truck driver, you wouldn't suddenly go for social media manager without educating yourself. Even if that was something that you really wanted to do, if you decided, you know what, I hate this, I want to be home with my wife or my kids or my husband or whoever.
Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really matter. I want to be at home. I don't want to be on the road all the time. I'm tired of people cutting me off or being in scary situations. I'm going to go for social media manager. That's fabulous. You're not just going to immediately start applying for those positions. You're going to go and get yourself educated in that process first. And then you're going to have to work at it. And it's going to take some time. So why would anybody think that they can just immediately jump into something with no education and
Because
suddenly
they're sold on someone else's hype. I don't want to necessarily say they're intentionally lying, but I think there's a lot of people that once they succeeded, they were like, oh, well, I can do it. Anybody can do it. And they kind of gloss over the struggle, especially if it wasn't a struggle for them.
And which does happen for some people. Some people, they are just a natural and it works really well for them. And that's awesome. Yes. But that's not everybody. So my point to that is seriously get yourself educated. You can find lots of free information elsewhere and everywhere, but it's going to be difficult to find what works best for you. And it's going to be sifting through a lot of hype and shortcuts and those kinds of things. I strongly suggest that you do some research and find a good course where a lot of that information is in one place. And if all they're doing is selling you done for you, steer clear. I'm not saying that done for you is necessarily a bad thing, but if that is the bulk of what they're trying to provide to you, steer clear because you're not learning anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my thought. I had a thought. I got it out. So anyway, that is pretty much it for us today. If you have any questions, obviously Rose and I are always going to be available to you. We each have our own skill sets and our own knowledge bases. So if I can't help you, I will send you Rose, vice versa. If neither one of us has the answer, we'll find it for you because that is what we do. Yep. If there's anything that you would like us to talk about, please drop it in the comments. And we can certainly make a podcast about that because we love it when you guys are interactive. Oh, and I think the next week we should talk about copywriting.
Ooh, yes.
Okay,
so that's a major pain point for a lot of people.
It is because copywriting is something that can be very challenging, and it's difficult when you think it. They say, "Oh, well, you just write this, or you just do that," and it can be very exhausting. You can spend forever just on a hook.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just don't even know the down of what good copy is. So
yeah, or you don't know you can get creative. So real estate copywriting, I always thought was supposed to be very cut and dry, and I discovered through courses and things like that sometimes you can have a lot of fun with it if it's a property that has unique features.
Unique. Well, yeah, and it's going to be the same thing with so copywriting is I think will be a good one to go over next week. And in the meantime, we appreciate you being here. If you cut this on replay, please drop #replay so that we know, and subscribe. I will put up the link in a second here so that you guys have it. And that way, drop by, show us some love. Last week's went live at 10 o'clock. So if you missed last week's, you can go back there and catch up on all the previous episodes that we have. I think this is number 31. So it's been a while. I know, right? Crazy. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good Friday. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, guys.